Compare that to how many were done between, 2008 and 2015. It's a massive.
Okay, but that's 300 a year. Huh. That doesn't sound so high, does it?
In this video, David Pakman reacts to a clip of Matt Walsh making an appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience. Matt Walsh and Joe Rogan discuss the difficult realities of transgenderism, and David Pakman does what he does best. He goes straight into his bag of talking points. With that, let's watch David Pakman make a fool of himself trying to debunk the objective truths about transgenderism.
I have a really interesting clip from the Joe Rogan program. Matt Walsh has become an expert to the right wing about gender and trans issues. He did a documentary about trans issues. He confronts people about gender affirming care and all these different things. And it turns out that he's just a liar. He's just a liar. And there was a very interesting moment wherein yesterday on Joe Rogan's podcast, Matt Walsh was saying millions of trans people are on puberty blockers. Hundreds of thousands of minors, prepubescent girls are getting gender reassignment surgery and blah, blah, blah. It's all untrue. Let's start with the clip. It's fact checked by Joe Rogan's producer, Jamie, during the interview. And everything, this is a clinic. This is a clinic in critical thinking. Let's listen.
How many people have had this done?
Depends on what. I don't think we have exact numbers, but
we do have numbers. We have very good numbers on what's happening in the United States. There is data for how many procedures of just about every kind are being done.
We're talking about the drugs. Millions.
Okay, so millions on puberty blockers. All right, let's continue.
You're talking about hormone blockers.
Yeah.
Millions of kids have been on hormone blockers, really?
I'm sure someone's going to fact check me on it, but my guess is that we're into the millions now at this point. Yeah, that would be my guess. I can say for double mastectomies, the most.
Okay, so millions on hormone blockers, millions of minors on hormone blockers. The best data I was able to find is that there's 120,000 children struggling with what is often called gender dysphoria.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Some small fraction of those at some point might take some of these medications. Okay. He says millions a year. The total number with gender dysphoria, 120,000. Only a fraction of those are taking these medications. So first lie. Do the numbers really even matter to these people? I don't think so, but there's the first lie.
I read a report recently that there were over 1,000.
Oh, let me back up because now they're on to something else.
I can say for double mastectomies, I read a report recently that there were over 1,000 done between 2016 and 2019. And when you compare that to how many were done between, 2008 and 2015, it's a massive.
Okay, but that's 300 a year. Huh. That doesn't sound so high, does it? But that's not even really right. Let's continue.
Increase. And over 1,000 girls had gender affirming double mastectomies in that time frame.
And when you say girls, you're talking about prepubescent?
Right. Minors.
Oh, now did you see what just happened there? You're talking about prepubescent? Double mastectomies for prepubescent girls. We'll get back to that. That doesn't make sense either. And he goes, that's right, minors. Okay. Prepubescent and minor are two different things. I'm sure you know that. But did you see how slickly he slipped that in? I'll play it once more.
And over 1,000 girls had gender affirming double mastectomies in that time frame.
And when you say girls, you're talking about prepubescent?
Right. Minors.
Right, minors. So two different things. Now, of course, you might say, do prepubescent girls have breasts? Can you even do a double mastectomy on a prepubescent girl? What exactly are you removing? And of course, if you research this, you start to find medical information about it. It is very rare that prepubescent girls actually have breasts. And
look, if Matt Walsh's numbers are off here, shame on him for not knowing the exact numbers. It's something he has been on a crusade about and educated a lot of people out there. So if David Pakman's right, which it's definitely hard to trust him, but if he's right, I can acknowledge that Matt Walsh should have his numbers correct. But I will say the bigger thing that concerns me, David, is why are you defending puberty blockers and double mastectomies for kids, for minors? I don't really think you busted him on some amazing slip up about prepubescent or minors. It's disgusting either way. Ultimately, however, I don't care about the numbers. However many children are getting double mastectomies or taking puberty blockers, that's too many. And David alluded to 120,000 people are struggling with gender dysphoria. Cool. Well, you could do, sounds like you did your homework, David. You could do a great public service by saying, hey, to all of those people struggling with that, I have empathy for you. Go get some psychiatric care. Find out what the root of the problem is. But no, you're not even trying to win a debate here. You're just trying to say Matt Walsh is a liar because the numbers he's giving aren't accurate. I think you're kind of missing the bigger issue. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
You can read about what happens to the nipple and okay, you're right. I mean, we don't need to go into detail about everything, but at face value, this doesn't make sense. Prepubescent girls who almost never have breasts are having their breasts removed. That's really weird. But then he slips in, right, these are minors. So you could actually be talking about a 17-and-a-half-year-old girl, not prepubescent, legally a minor. Completely different situation. Doesn't make anything right or wrong. But it's a completely different situation than what he claims.
And that's just up until 2019. And then we know that there's been this exponential increase with all this stuff year over year. So it's a lot. It's too many. Having this happen to one kid is
Says who?
way too many. It's a lot more than one.
Yeah, and look, if you're an adult and you want to do that and you understand who you are and what you are and this is how you feel you should progress, you're an adult. This is a free country. You should be able to do whatever you want. But when you're talking about doing that to children, the fact that so many people are on board and so many people are angry, if you have, like, people are going to be angry at us that we're having these conversations.
No. How could you be angry that they're having the conversation? The problem is that Walsh just lies.
Yeah, they will be. And I also, I actually think that that this shouldn't be happening to.
So now they've pulled up an article.
That's a very small number, if that's right.
It says over the last 5 years, there were at least 4,780 adolescents who started puberty blockers.
Okay. He said there are millions of adolescents on puberty blockers. They just found a study that says it's under 5,000 over 5 years. That's under 1,000 a year. He said millions. Study says it's under 1,000. Think about that.
And at a prior gender dysphoria diagnosis.
Under 1,000 a year. He said millions.
It's kind of undercounted, but that's
That would be a big
less than
undercounting.
1,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Matt Walsh said something to the effect of, one person or one child having these types of procedures done to them is too many. And David says who? Says logical adults, David. You shouldn't be messing with the biology and hormones of a child, and you shouldn't be mutilating them. I don't care if they're 17 and a half, David. They're still a minor, idiot. What do you think? I understand it's part of what I do. It's part of what you do, David, to own the other side. But pointing out that Matt Walsh is incorrect on these things, what do you hope to achieve? Do you think your comments change anybody's opinion on the fact that these types of procedures shouldn't be even a thought for kids? Do you think we care if it's 1,000 or 1,000,000? Again, I did acknowledge if David's numbers are correct and Matt Walsh's are wrong, I consider Matt Walsh to be a very trustworthy source. So if he says something, I typically believe it. I think he's an honest guy. So not to have those kind of basic facts straight, again, I acknowledge that's not good. But as far as the issue at hand, which is protecting children from these things, it's not going to change any minds, David. And all you're doing over and over is replaying the same thing and saying, see where he lied? See how he slipped that in? See, okay, you got him, man. you got me, someone who can't stand you, to agree with you that, if his numbers are in fact that wrong, then, that's a huge mistake on his part. And to be honest with you, I'm relieved if the numbers are significantly lower than Matt Walsh is suggesting, because what that tells me is if people are educated about this stuff and realize how harmful it is to children, hopefully we can cut it off at the pass before it continues to grow and grow and grow, because there's a whole medical industry behind this pseudoscience of gender affirming care and transitioning to a different sex, psychiatrists, surgeons, drug companies. There's money in this. So there are a lot of people on board with this grift. And if people like Matt Walsh don't expose it in the light of day, it will continue to grow exponentially, because there are a lot of people out there that they just don't want to offend anyone. And by doing that, they will sacrifice the truth that they know in their brain that there's only two sexes. But they don't want to offend anybody, so they'll say, well, whatever people want to do. And those people won't speak up. So you need loud people like Matt Walsh. Not that I have some enormous platform, but people like me even. I'm not patting myself on the back, but people just need to talk about this stuff and talk about how unacceptable it is to do to children. As Joe Rogan or Matt Walsh said, if you're an adult and you want to do this stuff, I still think you have a mental problem, but it's not my business how you live your life, what procedures you have done, how you dress. I don't care. This is about kids, David. Frankly, you should care a lot more about that, these types of procedures not happening to children, than you should about busting Matt Walsh on his incorrect numbers. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
I guess, hundreds of thousands.
Let me correct my wrong guess of millions, because you found that the real number is 900, and say it's probably hundreds of thousands. I can't now get away with saying it's millions because the data says it's 900. So let's just go with hundreds of thousands.
But I could be wrong.
You are wrong.
Million sounds great.
Yeah, I could be.
Right. It's much better for the story. So listen, guys, there are about 9,000, everything I found from medical journals reporting on this, there are about 9,000 trans surgeries performed annually across the United States total. And that's all ages, what's called male to female and female to male. That's any type, okay? That's mostly adults, okay? And what fraction of those are the situation that Matt Walsh is talking about? I mean, almost none. Now, then the problem with these people is then they'll revert back to even one is too many. That's different.
Here's what I found. Approximately 1,390 children aged 6 to 17 in the United States began treatment with puberty blockers in 2021, up from 633 in 2017. So the number of people that are accepting of this is growing rapidly. Is anybody listening to this okay with those numbers? Here's where society and culture gets involved. Additionally, the same analysis reported that about 42,000 children ages 6 to 17 were diagnosed with gender dysphoria in 2021, nearly triple the number in 2017. See, if we don't stop people from affirming these ridiculous thoughts of children, it will continue to grow exponentially. So again, don't support Matt Walsh throwing out incorrect numbers. I think he should be very specific on that to avoid douchebags like David Pakman being like, I got you. But those numbers and the growth rate are very, very frightening. The ones I just read, assuming that they're correct. But we want to hear from you. What do you think about this conversation between Joe Rogan and Matt Walsh and David Pakman's commentary on it? Let us know. Anyway, as always, we really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.